Y'all, it is 2022. Like, my brain cannot even process that information right now. Hi guys, it's Mika. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you all 22 books I want to read in 2022. See what I did there? Now, I feel like this year I definitely want to take my reading a bit more seriously. Last year I was slacking a bit. I literally missed my Goodreads goal by one book. I definitely want to get back into reading a lot more fantasy. I mostly read romance last year. Even if it's fantasy romance or just high fantasy, I definitely just want to get back into that fantasy world. I've already read 3 books this year, so I'm very, very proud of myself. I can't wait to share with you guys the 22 books I want to read, but first I do want to say thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. New year, same old me, because I have worked with Book of the Month for quite some time on this channel now. If you are a returning subscriber, I'm sure you already know the drill, but Book of the Month is a monthly subscription service where you get to pick 1 out of 5 different amazing book picks every single month to be delivered straight to your door. This is all for the low price of $9.99 for your first book. They have so many different picks ranging from romance to historical fiction to fantasy. Whatever you can think of, Book of the Month most likely has it. They really take the time to kind of curate their selections. They choose the most anticipated releases in order for you to kind of not have to go through the trouble of looking through them yourself, so that way they're kind of just like laid out for you and you get to pick one to be delivered right to you. I know it can be really overwhelming, especially like when it's a new year, because a new year means just so many new amazing books that are coming out and you just can't keep track of them all. And Book of the Month is kind of that middleman that helps you decide what books to read. So they actually did send me over 5 of their book picks for the month of January, as well as an add-on, so I will show that all to you. First up, we have The Magnolia Palace by Fiona Davis. Then we have Black Cake, and this is by Charmaine Wilkerson. We have Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I'm really excited about this one. We also have Love and Other Disasters, and this is by Anita Kelly. And then we have Fiona and Jamie, and this is by Jean Chu Ho. Last but not least, we have the little book that came in the Book of the Month box, which is so cute. And inside, I'm sure you know this by now, but they always send a bookmark. I have so many of their bookmarks. I love them. This one says, "Put me in, coach." So they always have like these really cute little sayings on them. You can always add on a book or choose an add-on book for your first Book of the Month pick. And the one that they sent was The Maid by Nita Prose. So this cover is really stunning and it has me very much intrigued. And remember that you get your first book box for $9.99 if you use the code MikaAugust. It's just my name. And you can also use the link down below in my description. So yeah, thank you again to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Let's get into the 22 books I want to read in 2022. Alright y'all, so like I said, I really want to get back into reading fantasy this year. So there is quite a bit of fantasy on this list. A lot of them are kind of backlist titles because I need to work on fixing the fact that I have so many books on my shelves that I have not read. Like, getting over my physical TBR is definitely a resolution for 2022. I don't like the fact that I am constantly like, oh, I don't have anything to read, and then I go on Goodreads and I find a bunch of different books that I don't own, but I like, hello, I have this entire bookshelf full of books that I can definitely read. So keep in mind that while there are a lot of 2022 releases on this list, majority of them are going to be books that I already own or books on my shelves that I've had for months, if not years at this point. And I hope you guys get some new recommendations or some new ideas on what you want to read next. Yeah, let me stop talking. Let's get into this video. So first up, we actually have a book that I don't know if it comes out this year. I think it does, but it is called Book of Night, and this is by Holly Black. This is her adult debut. If you don't know who Holly Black is, she is the genius who wrote the Cruel Prince trilogy, and I'm really excited for her to be writing an adult novel. I got the ARC, so thank you so much to Tor for sending that to me. I don't have the physical ARC, I have the e-ARC, and I literally cannot wait to start it. Like, I have been sitting on it right now. It's on my Kindle app, and as soon as I kind of work my way back into fantasy, I'm starting a bit slower, so I'm like reading YA fantasy first and kind of working my way back into adult fantasy. I will definitely be picking that up. I'm just hoping it's giving off the dark vibes that I'm getting from the cover and the title. Okay, next up, of course, I cannot even go any further without talking about House of Sky and Breath by Miss Sarah J. Maas. So this is definitely an anticipated read. Honestly, thought this book was going to come out in what, like 2020, 2021? It did not. I think, wait, when did Crescent City come out? I thought it was going to come out a while ago is what I'm trying to get at here. But I've seen like the physical copy of the book, not in person sadly, but I have seen it like on TikTok, and it looks massive, and so I'm just so excited for it. As you can see, my Crescent City shelf is right there. A lot of people come for me for having that many copies of Crescent City, and they ask me what I'm going to do when the new book comes out, and like, just take a guess. You already know the answer to that. But I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I have been waiting for this book for so long, and I'm just excited to see Bryce and Hunt. I miss them. Their endgame, by the way, I don't want to hear anyone in the comments say otherwise, because their endgame, like, it is what it is. But yeah, if you don't know what Lola, I'm not in the mood to play. I gotta film this video. So if you didn't know what Crescent City is about, it is basically Sarah J. Maas's first, like, I guess full adult novel. I don't know why I put air quotations. It is her first like adult romance fantasy novel. Lola. There are a lot of factors, like they have cell phones and stuff, but it's still definitely a fantasy. Oh my gosh, you need to stop. Okay, I think Lola doesn't want me to talk about Crescent City anymore, so let's move on to the next book. So the next book, I do have a physical copy. It's actually a book of the month copy, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I was automatically drawn to the cover when I saw this book. I think this was in the September book of the month box, I'm pretty sure. At first, I was not going to read this book. I'm going to be completely honest. I really was not going to read this, and the only reason is because one of my really good friends, Sin, told me that it was a Star Wars fan fiction before it was this, and I feel like this is going to be kind of problematic, but like the guy who plays what's his name, like Adam Driver, hopefully if you're an Adam Driver stan, do not come for me. Like, if you think he's attractive, I love that for you, but I don't find him that attractive. And so like thinking that that is who this is based off of, like my brain can't compute that, so I'm just gonna have to like imagine, like, I don't know, Tom Cruise or something, someone completely different. But I've heard such great things about this book, and so I'm like, you know what, like I'm just gonna give it a try. I feel like I'm really gonna like it. Hello, I love romance, so yeah. Everyone's obsessed with Adam. I tweeted something the other day, and like all the replies were just like me with like Adam Carson, me with Adam Carson, and I was just like, who is this person? And everyone kept saying it was the love interest from The Love Hypothesis. So here I am adding this to the list. Next up, we have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I have wanted to read this ever since it came out. I'm pretty sure this came out 2020, so a little bit now. And the second book, These Violent Ends, has also come out. So since, I'm pretty sure it was a duology, since both books are out, there is no reason for me to be putting this off anymore, so I will definitely be picking this up. This is probably going to be one of my next picks, considering that I'm starting off with like YA fantasy. Is this fantasy? Yeah. Yeah, this is fantasy. So definitely it's like urban fantasy, which is perfect because that's currently like what I'm reading. I'm reading like YA urban fantasy right now. So this would be like a perfect transition book for me, I think. And it is a Romeo and Juliet dark retelling, so that's super fun. We love when the characters are rivals, always. Even though I love friends to lovers and like contemporary and like real world romance, I love enemies to lovers in fantasy. Something about enemies to lovers in fantasy hits, and friends to lovers in like a modern day world is just immaculate. Next up, we have Brutal Prince, and this is by Sophie Lark. This is a dark romance, and this is another thing I saw on Twitter. A bunch of people were tweeting about this scene where these rivals are getting married, and she eats strawberries knowing that he's allergic to strawberries, and he ends up having to like go to the hospital, or like he almost dies, or something crazy happens, and that scene has just been living in my mind rent-free. So here we are. Definitely gonna be reading that soon. And I love dark romance. I don't talk about the fact that I read like dark romance on this channel a lot. I think it's a mafia story. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think. Next up we have Western Waves by Brittany Cherry. So this one is a part of a series, I think, and I read the synopsis for the other books in the series and it just did not interest me as much as this one did. So yeah, I'm probably gonna read that one first, and then if I like it, then go back and read the other books in the series. Then we have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This one I'm very excited for. It recently got super popular on TikTok, and I have been wanting to read this book for a while, and Kristen over at Leo PR, I think like a few years ago or 2 years ago now, sent me this book, and that was just like the perfect sign to read it. I was kind of intimidated by it because it is pretty big for a Christina Lauren book, but I do know that it is friends to lovers, and I feel like I keep seeing spoilers for it on TikTok and on Twitter, and it's to the point where I'm like, I just need to bite the bullet and hurry up and read this book. I'm pretty sure it is told from dual timeline, and it is kind of just following these friends who have drifted apart over the years and get reunited. So we already know how I feel about friends to lovers in the modern world, and I'm gonna eat this up. Then we have another romance book, The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. I got the e-arc on NetGalley. It was just one of those days where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to request a bunch of random books on here, but that one was the one I was actually looking forward to, and so when I got accepted for it, I was so happy. I actually started reading it and I got accepted for it, like I think it was like back in November of last year, of 2021. And then I was like, wait a minute, this book don't come out until April of this year, or like June. It comes out like later on in the year, and so I was like, I'm not good. I think it comes out in April actually, but I was like, I'm not going to read it and then not be able to talk to absolutely anyone about it because it's not going to be coming out anytime soon. So I decided I'm going to wait a little bit closer to its release day before actually reading it. So far it was really good. It's basically about this girl who's like helping one of her family members who is, I believe, a wedding planner, and she's helping her family members and basically finds out some tea between the bride and a person in the wedding party, and she kind of like outs it at the wedding in order to prevent the wedding from happening. Obviously it's like the first like 2 chapters of the book, and I believe what happens is the dating trope, kind of like the fake dating trope, ends up happening between the groom and the one who stopped the wedding. So hopefully that made some sense. I feel like I just jambled and none of that is gonna add up while I'm editing, but it just sounds like something I would eat up, and so far I was eating it up. Definitely gonna wait till the release date is a bit closer though. Next we have the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. I literally have I think it's behind my library cart so you can't see it. It's like on the shelf right there. I have the entire series that's out so far. I've been saying I wanted to read this for years. I don't know why I haven't just read it yet. Like at this point, I don't know what I'm waiting for. But again, fantasy is definitely a priority for me this year, and this book is like perfect for that. I mean, first of all, the cover is giving Twilight vibes, and we already know how I feel about Twilight on this channel. Love that series, love those books. Bella Edward, My True Loves. I've heard that this is pretty different from Twilight. The only thing that's kind of similar is the cover. So, I mean, it intrigues me no matter what because there are vampires and witches and supernatural things and a school setting, which is always really fun. Then we have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. My friend Becca recently was reading this series and she really enjoyed it. I believe it's fantasy or dark fantasy romance. And I mean, I've heard like mixed things, but me and Becca actually have like really similar reading tastes. If she likes the book, I'm most likely gonna like it. So because I wasn't really gonna pick it up before, but since she enjoyed it, I think I'm gonna read it now, and I'm really excited. The covers are beautiful. I have no idea what it's about other than that the smut in it is crazy, allegedly. So yeah. Then we have Jade City by Fonda Lee. It literally says winner of the World Fantasy Award. I feel like this is a perfect book for me to read if I want to get back into adult fantasy. This was an amazing gift from one of my friends, Katrina, and she's incredible. She gave this to me for my birthday, I believe, last year. Literally the sweetest person alive, I swear. But it's definitely time for me to give this book a try. I've heard great things about it as well. I think I was just really intimidated by this book for so long, but we're not going to be intimidated by books anymore. Like, I'm over that. If I want to read a book, I'm just going to read it, period. Okay, so next up we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This book is definitely one that I was also intimidated by, but not because of the length, mostly because of the hype surrounding it. I definitely wanted to wait for the hype around this book to slow down, and it took a while, but I think it's finally happened. I've gotten away with still not knowing too much about it. I do know kind of a major spoiler in the first book because like people were just being really obvious about it on Twitter. But yeah, now that the hype has kind of died down, I definitely think I will be reading this sooner rather than later. If you don't know what From Blood and Ash is about, like, babe, where have you been? Ooh, okay, so the next book is one I've had on my shelves for a while. I always get questions about this book on my shelf, like whether I'm doing a bookshelf tour or just standing in front of the book. If the book is in the frame, people are always like, what's that book about, or what's that book that you have facing out? And that is Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios. The cover of this book, y'all, like, I don't know if, yeah, you can see it here, the spine, everything about this book is just beautiful. I believe this book is about abusive relationships. This girl kind of thought that the man that she was with was just everything and that he was just like the perfect guy for her, but it turned out she did not know who he was. And I recently read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm gonna be honest, did not like that book at all, for many reasons that will be explained at a later time on this channel, which is interesting because I do like some of Colleen Hoover's books, but I definitely want to give more books about abusive relationships a try, because although I didn't like that book specifically, I still did understand where it was trying to go with it. So I definitely want to give Bad Romance a try. I think what's been stopping me is that I'm so scared I won't like it and it's facing out on my shelves, and then I'm just gonna have to like stare at a book that I don't really like. So I've been putting it off, but we can't do that anymore. Like, I either read it or I don't. Next up, we have another Sarah J Maas book, and that is Kingdom of Ash. If I want to talk about putting off books, this one right here is she's the winner. I have been putting off this book since, honestly, before it came out, because I hate closure with series, mostly because I don't want to give up my characters, my favorite characters. This is literally one of my favorite ever series ever, and the fact that I haven't read the last book is just very telling, because every single time I read the last book in a series, I either don't like how it ends, or I just get so sad because I'm like, I'm never going to see these characters, read about them ever again unless I do a reread, but it's not the same thing as reading it for the first time. So I've really been putting this one off, and it's time I finally read it. Also, my friend Brittany over at Brittany the Bibliophile said if I don't read this by February, she's literally going to spoil the ending for me, and I don't want that. I don't want any part of that. So I have to read this like ASAP. All right, next up we have Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. I have been putting this one off because I saw a really big spoiler on Twitter, and I was gonna read it like literally as soon as it came out, and I didn't. So, and then I saw that spoiler and I was kind of just like put off by it. Not because the spoiler was something that I was upset about, mostly because I was kind of just annoyed that I saw the spoiler, and like I feel like it's a kind of big one. I feel like it was the spoiler, but I don't know. I won't know until I read it. So, ooh, okay, the next one I'm so ready for. That is Blood Marked by Tracy Dion, the author of Legendborn. It is the second book in the Legendborn series, which I have been waiting for a while as well. I think I read this at the end of, I think it came out in 2020. I read it at the end of 2020. And I thought we were gonna get the next book last year, and Miss Tracy said no ma'am. So I guess that it's coming out this year finally, and I cannot wait for it. When Simon Teen sends that arc, I will be chasing my mailman down to get that copy, because like it's been over a year. Like I'm ready for the next one. Okay, so I have this freaking almost took off my finger. That's how heavy this book is. But the next one is Priory of the Orange Tree, and this is by Samantha Shannon. Y'all see how freaking huge this book is. It's massive. I do think it's one of those like books that looks a bit bigger than it actually is, because it only has 830 pages, and I'm pretty sure Crescent City had about the same, if not more. And I read that in like 2 days, so I'm sure I can read this. I think it's just one of those things that just psychs me out when I look at it, but I will definitely be picking this up because I keep seeing it on TikTok, and I want to read it. This is one of those books where you can't say, oh, I want to wait till the right time, because there is no right time. Like, do you see this monstrosity? Ooh, okay, next up we have Truly Devious, and this is by Maureen Johnson. I remember I commented on Epic Reads post once because they like did a mini synopsis of what this book was about, and it was kind of like in an academic setting. Well, it is in an academic setting, and they are solving mysteries and stuff like that, and sometimes I really get in those moods. It kind of gives me like House of Anubis vibes. Does anyone remember that show? I love that show so much. It was like on Nickelodeon, and I'm happy because it is a completed series, meaning that I will not have to wait for any books to come out or be stressed because like there's a cliffhanger or anything crazy like that. So yes, we'll be reading soon. Then we have Something Wilder, and this is by Christina Lauren. This is their new book that's coming out, and I'm really excited for it. I'm really hoping that I'm able to get my hands on an ARC because I want to read it so bad. I mean, I don't mind waiting till it comes out, obviously, but I need it in my hands and I need it now. I read almost everything that Christina Lauren puts out. I feel like I haven't read maybe a few of their books, but I usually do read and enjoy their books. And then the last book on this list, the 22nd book. Also, I just forgot to mention, you're probably counting these books and you're like, girl, this is not 22 books. When I said Crave, I meant the entire Crave series because I have to binge a series. Like, I can't just read one book and then move on to a different book. Like, it literally has to be back to back to back, or else I'm going to forget everything that was in there. So just keep that in mind. But the last book of this video is Honey Girl, and this is by Morgan Rogers. So one of my really good friends, Spence, absolutely loves this book. He has been telling me to read this book for as long as I can remember. He's constantly like, have you read Honey Girl yet? And I'm like, no, I have not. So I'm going to make him happy, and I'm going to finally read this, and I'm not going to tell him unless he watches this video. And hopefully I really enjoy it. I feel like I will. This is a female romance, and it's kind of about this girl just trying to figure out her life. You know, she is a PhD graduate. She graduated with her PhD and then ends up going to Vegas and then gets married to this girl, and she's like, what the fuck did I just do? So yeah, I love those like plot lines where people go to Vegas and just get married. I think Christina Lauren has a book like that, but I'm really excited for this. This one sounds really fun, and I mean, if Spence loved it, then I feel like I'll like it too. These are 22 books that I want to read this year. Obviously, there are a lot more books that I want to read that I either just like completely forgot about or didn't have enough time to put in this video. If you watched all the way to the end, I would love if you guys put a moon emoji down below in the comments because it's actually a full moon outside, which is really fun. I love the moon. And also don't forget to check out Book of the Month using my code mikaAugust. The link will be down below in the description, which is a link specific to me. So it'd be really great if you guys checked it out. And also thank you to everyone who's new to my channel and who has been subscribed for however long you've been subscribed for. This new year is just like really exciting for me because I definitely want to focus a lot more on my channel and put out content that I'm really proud of. So thank you guys for sticking through it with me. I will see you all in my next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Bye. Mwah.
East and the west, I'm racking up on my bread, power on me, I'm feeling just like a Tesla. Too much tree, the smoke is making my chest hurt. Girl on me, I'm thinking I should've rest her. Hey, I'm thinking I should've rest all night long. She putting me to the test, got a lot on, I'm trying to take out the rest.